Hello and welcome to this episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Friday, January 13th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, January 13th here today. It is a football Friday. It is a playoff football Friday as we get ready for Wild Card Weekend this weekend in the NFL. You got Seahawks, Niners tomorrow, Chargers, Jags tomorrow. So 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. And in the 6th game of the weekend, we'll wrap up on Monday night with the Bucks and the Cowboys down in Tampa as Brady faces off against Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, and the Cowboys. Should be interesting. A lot of storylines going to that game. What is the future of Brady this offseason? What's the future of Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys? Really just their roster in general if this year does not end up with a championship or does not end up with at least a deep playoff run. That will be an interesting matchup. A lot of fun games. Playoff football is back in New York. I wish it was the team right there. The New York Jets, they are obviously not in it. But the New York Giants are, and we'll get you ready for their game as well as they face up against the Vikings. And I really believe they have a very good chance against the Vikings. I think it should be a very good game. It should be a close game. A lot of these games this weekend are going to be close, I think. I really do. I think there's going to be a couple games that are, I think there's 2 or 3 games probably going to, out of the 6 games this weekend, you could probably pick out about 3 of them. They're going to be really good. And then the other 3 are probably going to be a little ugly. So it should be a good weekend. Hoping for 6 good games. That's what I want to see. I want to see close games. I want to see exciting games. And hopefully we get a high energy and a exciting weekend of wild card playoff football, especially with the Giants and Vikings game, which is obviously what New York and the Giants fans are all focused on right now. So a lot to get to. We're going to get you to the game picks. We'll get you my wild card weekend picks. With no fantasy football, I got another topic I want to get to. Going to talk about the Rangers last night. I mean, what a win. They get the win over the Dallas Stars 2-1. Keandre Miller scoring with 0.9 seconds left in regulation. Adam Fox getting the goal in overtime. What a win that will go down. Really a win that's going to go down as one of those memorable games. Where were you at that moment? A crazy, crazy win. Rangers looked like they were done, looked like they were on the brink of being shut out. They were 0.9 seconds away from being shut out 1-0. Miller scores, Adam Fox scores, Rangers get the win. We'll get into the game last night. We'll also get to the Rangers' success recently and where this team can go as they are continuing to play very good hockey, as they are one of the hottest teams right now in the NHL, especially after last night's win. So we'll get to them as well, and we'll finish things off. We'll get you ready for the rest of the weekend. Not only a lot of football, but a lot of other good sports on. Basketball, both college and the NBA. And obviously you got some hockey on as well. Tough loss last night for the Nets. Last night's game was so frustrating as a Net fan because we went into it and we said, look, try to find a way. The Celtics are without, Jaylen Brown. I got a little ahead of myself there. They're without Jaylen Brown. They still have Tatum out there, but you're like, okay, maybe we can find a way, sneak out a victory. You have the Thunder on Sunday, which should be a winnable game, and it's just like it just fell apart. It just was not. It was so frustrating because we went into the game and you said, got to find a way to find scoring other than Kevin Durant, and the Nets just couldn't find it. Ben Simmons had a weird game, 13 assists, 9 assists, no points. Kyrie made a couple bad turnovers, bad mistakes, missed a couple big shots. It was just a frustrating game. Not enough scoring, not enough offense. Without Kevin Durant, and that's got to change because he's going to be out 2 weeks, and you got a game coming up on Sunday, which is a big one. You got to find a way to get the win before you head out west and play teams like the Suns, Jazz, and then you got the Spurs as well in there. Winnable games, but out west Coast trips, never know what's going to happen there, so they'll wrap up their quick homestand on Sunday. So a lot to get to today on the program. It is a football Friday, a wild card weekend. Football Friday. With all that being said, this is the Bubbs on Sports podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so it is Wild Card Weekend, super Wild Card Weekend, I guess you could put it. Today, I'll get you my game picks here really quickly. So, for the NFL, my record so far this season, 170 and 101. And I went 12-4 last week 18. And now we open up with the playoffs. By the way, at this time of year, last season, on my game picks last season, I went 180 and 105. This year, right now, I'm at 170 and 101. So not quite where I was last year, a little worse. in terms of, where I was last season. I went 180 and 105, or 180 and 105, I think it was. This year, I'm already 170 and 101. So hoping, have a good weekend this weekend. If I can get 4-2 out of these 6 games, I would feel good. If I can get 5-1, that would be great. 6-0, that's kind of a pipe dream. I mean, 6-0 is definitely possible, but that means, I'd have to, get every pick correct. Aiming for 4-2 this week. 3-3 would be okay. Trying to get close to 180 when all is said and done this season. So, should be good. With all that being said, though, let's get into it here. So, first game we got up here, we'll get to the Giants here in a little bit. We're going to start things off here, 4:30 tomorrow, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. You got the Niners and the Seahawks. Niners 13-4 coming out of the NFC West, and the Seahawks coming out of the NFC West as well. Niners obviously got the division win. Niners are a 9-point favorite in this game. The over-under for this game is set at 42. Look, as much as I want to, this is going to be an interesting game. It's an interesting game in terms of storylines. Very interesting game, because you look at this game and you say, all right, both these, the Niners have a lot of playoff experience in terms of their coaching. And you look at these two teams coaching-wise, Kyle Shanahan and Pete Carroll have a lot of experience. Both have been to the Super Bowl. Pete Carroll obviously won one. Shanahan, they obviously lost to the Niners, a couple years ago. But the Niners have been to the playoffs recently. Seahawks haven't been there since 2020, so they've been in, a little bit of a 2-year hiatus. Now they're back. It's an interesting game because you have two coaches, like I said, with a lot of experience, and you have two quarterbacks with zero experience. Brock Purdy, never been in the playoffs. Geno Smith has been on playoff teams, has never taken a snap in the playoffs, as obviously he's been with Seattle for the past couple seasons. This year, as we all know, as the starter, has had a very, very good year. Niners get this game at home. As much as I talk about wanting to see good games. This is one of these games where you look at it on paper and you say, you know what? Two very good coaching staffs, two inexperienced quarterbacks. What is going to give? Is Geno Smith being a little bit more of the veteran over Brock Purdy being a rookie, and Seattle and Pete Carroll coaching-wise going to have an edge here? Or is Brock Purdy going to, ultimately ride the hot hand? Kyle Shanahan, this Niners staff, this Niners roster is just better and overall just going to go out there and just more talented than the Seahawks are, and I think the latter is what's going to happen. I think Brock Purdy and the Niners are going to win this game, and I really, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be very close. I really don't. I love what I've seen out of Brock Purdy. He's playing with a lot of energy. Look, I've said this a lot of times. I mean, some people are saying this. They're still saying about Brock Purdy. It's Brock Purdy. Who cares? People still don't believe in him. Sometimes this happens. It's rare. It's incredibly rare. But Brock Purdy, he's a good quarterback right now. I know we can all joke and stuff and say, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. But the bottom line is Brock Purdy, he's one of the better quarterbacks right now in football. He's been playing one of the better quarterbacks in football. Very good football he's playing. And the team's rallying around him. They're buying into him. They've got weapons all over the place in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. Their defense is unreal. I mean, from Bosa to the secondary to the pressure they generate a ton of pressure. Geno Smith with zero playoff experience on the road in San Francisco. I think it's going to be a blowout. I really do. Brock Purdy's hot. He's rolling. This team's hot. This team's cruising. I mean, man, oh man. This Niners team, again, my early prediction is Bengals-Niners in the Super Bowl. That's my early prediction. I like the Niners big time here. I really do. I don't think it's very close. I don't. I'm not, maybe this is just me. I'm not a big, I haven't really fully gone onto the Seattle, Geno Smith bandwagon. I haven't been buying. I couldn't care less. I don't know. To be honest with you, I like the Brock Purdy story more than the whole Geno Smith story. It's just Mr. Irrelevant, young quarterback. Niners team yet to win hasn't won a Super Bowl. They've won a Super Bowl, obviously. Jerry Rice, Joe Montana days, dynasty. But recently, they've gone to the playoffs. They've been just short. This feels like a team that this year could be their opportunity to go over the top and officially you hoist the Lombardi again. We'll see. But I'm going to take the Niners here at home. Defense is amazing. Brock Purdy's cruising. Weapons all over the place. I'll take San Francisco at home. 31-14 Niners win big time at home over Seattle. I'll take the over on the over-under 42. Niners get the win. And I have them covering the 9-point spread with a 31-14 victory. Next up, we got the Chargers and the Jaguars. Chargers come into this game 10-7. Jaguars 9-8 tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, NBC. This is the nightcap. The Chargers come into this game a slight 1.5-point favorite. The over-under for this game is set at 47.5. Chargers, first time in the postseason since 2018. The Jaguars, first time in the postseason since 2017. And it's funny, Doug Peterson, last time he won a Super Bowl, 2017, with the Eagles. The last time the Jaguars were in the playoffs, 2017, Blake Bortles in the AFC Championship game against Brady. Now, Peterson taking the Jaguars back to the playoffs. Do we see a little bit of a magical run taking place here? We will see. It'll be interesting. It's funny, though, because if the Jaguars never blew that game back in 2017 against New England, you would have looked at it and you would have said it would have been the Jaguars and it would have been the Eagles. And let's say Doug Peterson beat Jacksonville. Now, all of a sudden, he's Jacksonville's head coach. It's funny how that postseason went. It was Case Keenum, Nick Foles, Blake Bortles, and Tom Brady were your four quarterbacks in 2017 playoffs. It was basically Brady and a bunch of other no-names. Nick Foles, backup for the Colts. Case Keenum, backup for the Bills. And as we all know, Blake Bortles not even in the league anymore. That and yeah, obviously still have Brady going strong here in the playoffs. So it's funny how that 2017 playoff race went. This is another game too, where when you look at the quarterback, you say you have Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, two young studs. Herbert, phenomenal player. I mean, does so many things well. Third season in the league, very good player. And then you have, Trevor Lawrence, second season, making a big second-year jump. Doug Peterson, big reason why. They got a lot of talent. So does the Chargers. And I look at this game and I say, something's got to give. I believe the Jaguars have the better coaching with Doug Peterson, a guy that's, been here, done that, all that stuff. Brandon Staley, not so much. And I look at the Chargers and I say they have more talent. Defensively, offensively, I feel the Chargers have more talent. But what is ultimately going to decide this game? Is it going to be the talent on the field, or is it going to be the coaching, playoffs, big time, big game, decision making? Who do I trust more? I would probably trust Doug Peterson a lot more. But again, when you look at the talent, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Herbert, Austin Eckler, playmakers all over the place on the Chargers. Not saying that the Jaguars don't, but the Jaguars have good talent. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, all those guys have been good. I wouldn't so much say that's, Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. But to me, it's going to come down to, in this game, it's really going to come down to, again, is it, do the Chargers and their talent go on the road, beat Jacksonville, or is it coaching, Doug Peterson decision-making that overcomes and takes over Brandon Staley, who doesn't have much experience in these big games, as they obviously haven't made the playoffs in a while, just missed out on it last season against the Raiders in that Week 18 matchup that they had in Vegas, where they ended up losing that game. So how does this game end up playing out? This is interesting because I really believe, I look at this game, I also look at this game. Both these teams, I think, could make a run. I really do. Like, I look at the Chargers, I could easily talk myself into them going on and doing some great things. And a lot of people, including myself, I'm not saying the Jaguars are going to win it all, but I believe Jaguars can be the Bengals of last season. We're kind of that underdog team, gets into the playoffs, first time in a while, young quarterback. You feel good about the roster, you feel good about the team, but you have some concerns, and it's like they host a playoff game in the wild card round, and it's like they might have to go on the road for the rest of it. I can buy into Jaguars maybe making a deep run and maybe getting to the AFC Championship game. I also said at the beginning of the year, this Chargers team, when they're healthy, they're a Super Bowl contender. I mean, Herbert's phenomenal. We all know what Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler can do, both at the receiver and the running back spot. So I really believe you could be looking at two teams here that can make a lot of noise. Although when you look at the matchups over the weekend and, the Giants, Vikings getting a lot of chatter, obviously that Bucks, Cowboys game's getting a lot. Seahawks, Niners games making a ton of headlines because you got Geno Smith, Brock Purdy both making, playoff debuts, Mr. Irrelevant. This is kind of one of those under-the-radar games that's like both these teams, although this game might not be getting much attention, there's a good chance both these teams, one of these teams could be playing in the AFC Championship game because they can get hot, and both these teams are capable of getting there, in my opinion. So this is an interesting game. This was a really tough one for me to pick. Do I go with the more obvious pick, take the Chargers, more talent, feel more comfortable, Herbert, those guys? Or do I take the underdog, but they're at home, Jacksonville, kind of the young, fun, exciting team? And I'm going to go with the Jaguars here. I am. I really like the Chargers. I do. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to take Jacksonville at home. Trevor Lawrence, ETN, Doug Peterson, coaching advantage at home. You know that place is going to be roaring. Give me Jacksonville over Justin Herbert and the Chargers at home to move on to the divisional round. I'll take the Jaguars close. 27-23 Jags win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 47.5. And I will take the Jaguars plus 1.5 at home. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence move on to the divisional round. I'm taking the Jaguars. I don't feel that's a very tough pick because I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers win. I also wouldn't be shocked if the Jaguars win. Again, watch out for these two teams. Would not be shocked at all if one of these teams makes a run that maybe not many were expecting. But I'll take the Jags at home on Saturday night, NBC, prime time. Place going to be rocking. Doug Peterson, feel good about it. Take the Jags. All right, now we move on to Sunday. 3 games on Sunday. First up, you got the Dolphins and the Bills. Dolphins 9-8, Bills 13-3. 1 Eastern CBS. The Bills are a massive 13.5-point home favorite. The Dolphins, first time making the playoffs since 2016. Bills are the first time. Bills making the playoffs since last season. I'm sorry. Dolphins, first time making the playoffs since 2016. The Dolphins are also rolling out a rookie and a first-time playoff quarterback in Skylar Thompson. The over-under for this game is set at 43.5. I'm going to be quick with this. I don't think the Dolphins stand a chance. Number one, I'll tell you this. If Tua was playing in this game, I would still take Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. It's probably going to be cold. I don't know the exact weather. Yeah, 28 degrees it says on here. According to AccuWeather, I got it up here on ESPN, 28 degrees at game time. So it's going to be below freezing. Miami going up to Buffalo. They already lost there earlier this year. It's a Florida team in the cold. So number one, I don't like that. Even if Tua was playing. Tua would give them a better chance, obviously. But even without him, number two is Skylar Thompson, let's just tell like it is not good. He's a rookie, has zero experience. The offense clearly doesn't flow. They won last week without scoring a touchdown. He's had some bad throws, takes a lot of sacks. He makes a lot of mistakes. He's not good. To go on the road and go up into Buffalo in that environment for Skylar Thompson, it's going to be way too overwhelming. I don't think the Dolphins stand a chance here. I think this is going to be a blowout. I also think Damar Hamlin, he's doing much better, back at home, released from the hospital, back in Buffalo, which is great. Obviously, great news and a great sign. This Bills team's going to play for him. They're going to play for him. They're going to go out there, they're going to play with a lot of energy, and they're going to be ready to go. I'm going to take the Bills here by a lot. I am. I mean, they have the better, let's just say it, better coaching, better quarterback, more talent, better defense, at home, Florida team on the road, rookie quarterback, no playoff experience for Miami. I mean, rookie coach, everything you need, everything you want for a playoff team. The Dolphins have the opposite of that. They don't have any coaching experience with the playoffs, really, okay, in terms of head coaching experience. Their quarterback is a rookie who's not good. on the road, warm weather to cold weather. Bills 35-10. I'll take the over on the over-under 43.5, and I absolutely believe the Bills are going to cover the 13.5 this game. Give me Buffalo by a ton at home covering the basically 2-touchdown spread at 13.5. I'll take the Bills. All right, we'll get to Giants-Vikings here in a second. We'll get back to them here in a second. Now we move on to the Ravens and the Bengals. Ravens 10-7, Bengals 12-4. Sunday 8:15 p.m. Eastern, NBC. Bengals 8.5-point favorites at home. As I mentioned, my Super Bowl pick is Bengals Niners. Over under set at 40.5. I mean, man, oh man, what a game this is. I mean, similar to Buffalo and Miami. We're looking at Tyler Huntley and Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson's out. The Ravens literally just went on the road and played Cincinnati. Now they get to go on the road again and play Cincinnati for the second straight week. The Bengals won 27-16 the first time around with Tyler Huntley out there. Now they get another opportunity to do it again. Or, I'm sorry, it was Anthony Brown out there last game. But now they'll get another opportunity against Tyler Huntley. Look, I think this will be a little closer than the Bills game. Look, we all know the Bengals made the Super Bowl last season. This is the first time the Ravens are making the playoffs since 2020. They've had two back-to-back seasons missing it. They don't have Lamar Jackson. This Ravens team is Lamar Jackson. I mean, without Lamar, they're not good. That's just the bottom line. With Lamar, they're kind of a contender. I don't know if I would call them a Super Bowl favorite, but they're definitely, in the bubble area there of being a Super Bowl team with Lamar Jackson. They are. This offense, he's mobile. They don't have a very good receiving core. I mean, they have Mark Andrews. They rely on the run. They rely on Dobbins. They rely on Lamar. And to go on the road without Lamar Jackson, we've seen this team not be able to do it countless times. I don't think they'll be able to do it again. This is similar to the Bills game. Bengals at home, hostile environment. I think the Bengals are going to play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder this postseason. I'll tell you why. And I get it, they're 12-4. I know they won the AFC North, and you might think they're not really an underdog, and they're favored by 8.5 points. So I understand that the outlook on them might not look like they're an underdog, but there's a lot of people throughout the season, and even last season, where a lot of people said, "Oh, it's a one-year wonder. They may, what can they do? Can they bounce back?" I think this Bengals team is going to play with a little bit of an underdog mentality this postseason. I do. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Bills, the Chiefs, and I know I mentioned it, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're kind of that young, new, shiny team." It's like the Bengals at times have kind of been not forgotten, but sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. And I believe that. I'm not saying they're underdogs, but the outlook doesn't look that way. But inside that building, I could see them kind of taking on a little bit of an underdog mentality and, going out there and, playing a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after what happened last season, falling in the Super Bowl. Now you get another opportunity to get back there and win it this time. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bengals do this postseason. I think they'll get there against the Niners. I think they'll play the Niners in the Super Bowl. That's my Super Bowl pick. But we'll see. So I'm taking the Bengals. Ravens don't have a chance. Without Lamar, this team is not anywhere close to the same. So I'll take the Bengals at home, 27-13 Bengals. I'll take the over on the over-under of 40, under the over-under 40.5. And I'll take the Bengals minus 8.5, covering the 8.5, and getting the win at home. Give me Cincinnati. Alrighty, and we'll get you Monday's game right now. Cowboys, Buccaneers, Cowboys 12-5, Buccaneers 8-9. Cowboys 2.5-point favorites. Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. You can find this game on ESPN and ABC. This will wrap up Wild Card Weekend. This is a wild game to wrap up Wild Card Weekend. Cowboys, obviously the favorites here on the road. Over-under set at 45.5. This is a lot of storylines as well in this game. A lot of them. Both these teams made the playoffs last season. Both these teams go into the playoffs with the expectation of your future's really kind of a question. And I don't mean that with the entire Cowboys team, but there's two people specifically in this game that you wonder what their future is. Tom Brady, what is his future in the NFL? Does he come back next season? Does he leave? Does he retire? Does he go somewhere else? You've heard Vegas pop up in rumors. I know some people think it's crazy, but would Miami be interested again? Does he play with another team? He's, obviously free agent. Like, what happens with Brady at the end of the season? Question there. And same thing with the Cowboys in terms of their head coach and Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones wants to win, and specifically, he wants to win a Super Bowl. And I think all Cowboys fans, Cowboys coaches, Cowboys organization are sick and tired of the early postseason exits. Last season, obviously, they lost, early in the postseason against the Niners in the wild card round when they had a lot of expectations on them. They got a big year. They got to make a deep playoff run. I think Mike McCarthy's at least got to get to the NFC Championship game, in my opinion, if he wants to secure his job. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, they could get eliminated first round and he could come back. But, Sean Payton, I know, is going with other teams, but you've heard the rumors of Sean Payton going to Dallas. And they've kind of died down now because they're getting ready for a playoff game. But if they lose on Monday, those Sean Payton rumors will be right back up to one of the lead stories involving the Cowboys. So, two people in this game. This game could determine a lot. If Mike McCarthy loses, he might be out. And you might say, oh, well, he's made the playoffs, he's doing this, he's doing that. Jerry Jones doesn't care. He wants championships. And Tom Brady, what happens? Well, if he wins, well, obviously he moves on. But if he loses, what's his future? Does he retire? Does he go to another team? Does he come back? What happens? And a lot of what Brady does will depend on what the rest of this Bucs roster and coaching staff will look like next season. So the storylines and what's on the line in this game, even though it's a wild card game, there is a lot on the line for this game in terms of both these teams' futures that could look a whole lot different depending on the outcome of this game, especially with the Cowboys and their coaching and Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and the roster as a whole, depending on what his decision is this offseason. This is a tough game to pick. It really is. I like the Cowboys a lot. My biggest concern, Dak Prescott's got a turnover issue. Turn the ball over a ton. In the playoffs, you're not going to be able to turn the ball over and win games. Prescott's had a lot of these games where he's turning it over. And he said all the right things in his press conference, like, I've got to be better, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And all those things are right, all those things are accurate, obviously. But at the end of the day, if you can't, just go out there and just play competent quarterback play and not turn the ball over, it's going to be a long day. So, to me, this game hinges on what Dak does. If Dak goes out there and throws two, 3 interceptions, Cowboys aren't winning. As much as I don't care how good their defense is, they're not winning. It also hinges on this Bucs offense too, because the Bucs, we've seen games where their offense goes out there and scores 13 points, and Brady doesn't play well, and there's no rhythm. So both these teams, the offenses are questions. They really are, and the offenses will obviously dictate a lot on what the defenses do. Because are you going to get Tom Brady where he goes out there, throws 3 touchdowns, 400 yards like he did against Carolina, and Mike Evans has a huge day? Or are you going to get the Buccaneers that can barely beat the Arizona Cardinals? Are you going to get the Cowboys that can put up a ton of points? Are you going to get the Dak Prescott that looks like a top 10 quarterback? Or are you going to get the Dak Prescott that looks like a bottom 5 quarterback? That's really it. Dak Prescott, he either looks like a top 10 quarterback or he looks like a league worst quarterback with some of the interceptions and the turnovers he can have, and specifically he's had recently. So this is a really interesting game. As much as I deep down inside feel like Brady, knowing it might be his last year, even if it isn't his last year, might be his last game with Tampa, as much as you feel like Brady, playoffs, Cowboys, you feel like they've already beat him already, you think they're going to win. As much as I feel that way, I'm going to take Dallas, CeeDee Lamb. I think Dak Prescott's going to get some of his turnovers right. To me, this Buccaneers team's just too inconsistent, in my opinion. And I know the Cowboys, again, Dak specifically has struggled a little bit. But I still think that he's going to get those ironed out. I think Mike McCarthy's going to realize this game, he's coaching for his job right now. He really is. If he loses this game, there's a good chance he's not back. Wins this game, well, you got to go on and win the next one. I mean, basically, Jerry Jones' standards, you probably got to at least get to the NFC Championship game if Mike McCarthy wants to be back. And I know this Cowboys team's got a lot of pressure, but I think they're going to go on the road. I think they're going to get the win. I just don't trust this Bucks team enough. A lot of people are denying it. They're a below 500 playoff team. And I understand it doesn't matter what your record is as long as you're in. I get that. But, a lot of people are acting like this Bucks team's this juggernaut. They're not what they were 2 years ago when they won it. They're not anywhere close. So I'm going to take Dallas. I am. Either they're going to play for McCarthy, either they're going to come out. I think they're going to realize what's at stake. A lot's at stake in terms of what this organization and what this coaching staff and roster might look like next season. So I'm going to take Dallas. Dak Prescott calms the turnovers a little bit down. They go on the road, get the win over Brady. I'll take Dallas 20-17. Dallas close with a win. Under on the over-under 45.5. I think it's relatively low scoring. I'll take Dallas on the road, covering the 2.5. Give me the Cowboys over Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I'll take the Cowboys. All right, now we close things out with the Giants and the Vikings. Giants 9-7-1, Vikings 13-4. Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. This is the fourth wild card game of the weekend. The Vikings are a small 3-point home favorite. The over-under for this game is set at 48. Giants, first time making the playoffs since 2016. Vikings, first time making the playoffs since the 2019 season. Both these teams excited to be back. This is going to be a fun game. I'm really excited for this game. Obviously, this week in New York, the Giants have got a lot of media coverage, rightfully so. They're back in the playoffs. They're back in the postseason for the first time since 2016. With no Jets being in it, the Giants have kind of owned the radio time this past week, owned the media as they're back in the playoffs. And, credit to Dable, credit to this coaching staff. They've done a phenomenal job. And now they get another test on the road, and they're back in Minnesota. They were there a couple weeks ago on Christmas Eve. They get another opportunity here on the road. And let's just tell like it is. This Giants team is, number one, they're healthy for the first time in a long time. They've gotten a lot of pieces back. They got McKinney back 2 weeks ago against Indy. They're getting Adoree Jackson back this week, which is massive in terms of stopping and containing Justin Jefferson, which very well could decide this game. And let's be honest here, decide Vikings playoff fate. If Justin Jefferson goes out there and dominates, Vikings are going to win some games in the postseason. But if Justin Jefferson goes out there and gets shut down like he did against Green Bay, the Vikings there's a good chance they get knocked out this weekend. And there's a good chance, they're not playing football next week if the Giants can contain Justin Jefferson. And that's for any round. If the Vikings win this game and you move on to next week, Jefferson's their offense. It's similar to the Ravens with Lamar. If the Bengals can contain Lamar, they're going to win. Obviously, Lamar's out, which is why I think the Bengals will win even bigger because that offense, that team is Lamar, basically. And you can make that strong argument here with the Vikings. It's Justin Jefferson. And you feel good, especially with Dexter Lawrence up front. You feel good about the pressure that, Wink Martindale's going to deliver. He's done a lot of it this season. You feel good about them getting pressure and stopping the run on Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins, obviously. You like the defense a lot. Your biggest concerns are stopping Justin Jefferson, stopping this receiving core. You feel good, though. You have Xavier McKinney back. He obviously played in the Indy game, but you have him back, knocking out the rust. He should be ready. Will be ready to go again. And the biggest thing, as I mentioned, you'll get Adoree Jackson back, who really this game, as I mentioned, could depend on what he does. If Adoree Jackson goes out there and has a really bad day, most likely that's going to result in the Giants having a bad day. If Jackson goes out there and plays great and plays well, and they find a way to at least contain Justin Jefferson, you feel good about your chances. Look, as much as you look at these records and you say, the Vikings won the NFC North, they're the home team, first time making the postseason since 2019, they've made a lot of comebacks, they're a tough, gritty group. They're never down and out of it. A lot of people think that the Giants, since they're getting a lot of media coverage, are going to go out there and it's going to be a letdown. I don't think it's going to be a letdown for the Giants. I don't. This is the first time they're making the playoffs in a while. Dable's got these guys ready to go. Dable's got these guys buying in. Dable's got these guys playing at a high level. They believe in Dable. Daniel Jones has played very well. And let's be honest, again, this Giants team last week almost beat a healthy Jalen Hurts and the Eagles on the road when the Eagles were playing for something with Davis Webb. That just shows you the coaching. I truly believe that Dable's a better coach. I think the Giants have the better coaching in this game, and it's not crazy to say that the Giants probably have the better coaching and the better defense. And the quarterback isn't far off because Daniel Jones has had a very good year. Now, when you look at the receiving core, that advantage goes to the Vikings all day long. I mean, the Vikings have one of the best receivers in football. I mean, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football. So that goes to them. But you feel at least okay about your chances of containing Justin Jefferson. And the Giants, again, Christmas Eve, lost to the Vikings by 3 on a 60-plus yard field goal by Greg Joseph for the win, and the Giants had a ton of mistakes in that game. They had the bad fumble in the red zone. Richie James had that bad drop on third down that would have extended the drive, and who knows what happens that drive. There was a lot of drops, a lot of mistakes, and it came down to a game-winning field goal. If the Giants play a clean game, which I think they will, I'm taking the Giants. I am, and I got to admit, I feel really good about this pick. I really do. I really do. I think the Giants are going to come out with a lot of energy. They're going to come out and play hard for Dable. Daniel Jones going to come out and do whatever he can. I like the Giants. Barkley, this defense we know can deliver pressure and bring pressure, which is what Wink Martindale has done all season. You got to find a way to contain Justin Jefferson. They did not do that. And let's be honest here. Justin Jefferson, the last time the Giants played them, had 12 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown. Hawkinson also had 100-plus yards and 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins had 3 touchdowns, 299 yards. Just under 300 yards for the day. They lost by 3. Find a way to contain Justin Jefferson and limit the mistakes and limit the turnovers on offense. Don't have those costly drops. I'm taking the Giants. I am on the road. They almost beat them with a ton of mistakes and allowing Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson to go over 100 yards. They almost beat them on the road. Play mistake-free football, play clean football. I'm taking the Giants. Giants over the Vikings. 23-20. I'll take the Giants. Opposite, give me Graham Gano with the win. I'll go opposite. Graham Gano, 43-yarder for the win. Greg Joseph won it last time for the Vikings. Graham Gano is going to win it when it matters in the playoffs for the Giants. I'll take the Giants 23-20. I'll take the under on the over-under 48. And I'll take the Giants +3 on the road, getting their first win in the playoffs in a long time, in their first appearance since 2016. I'll take Brian Dable, Daniel Jones, and the New York Giants on the road. We'll see. I'll tell you what, if the Giants win this game, their fans are going to be going crazy. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. So my picks again, I have the Niners over the Seahawks, Jaguars over the Chargers, Bills over the Dolphins, Giants over the Vikings, Ravens over the Bengals over the Ravens, and the Cowboys over the Buccaneers. So I'm taking 2 underdogs, 1 road dog, 1 home dog. Actually, I'm taking 3 underdogs. I picked 3 favorites. The Niners are a favorite, obviously. Ravens are the favorites, and the Bills are the favorites. Or the Bengals are the favorites, jeez. Bengals favorites, Bills favorites, Niners favorites. I picked all those teams to win. However, I'm taking a home dog, and I'm taking 2 road dogs. Giants and the Cowboys being the 2. I'm sorry, Cowboys are favorites. So only two underdogs. Jaguars, the home dogs, and I'm taking the Giants, the road dogs. So again, Niners winning, Jaguars winning, Bills winning, Giants, Bengals, Cowboys are my picks for NFL Super Wild Card Weekend starting up tomorrow. 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, 1 more to cap it off on Monday, which, as I mentioned, that game right there is some of the biggest storylines out of all of them. That will be the final one of the weekend. So a lot to look forward to this weekend. Alrighty, so now we move on to a little bit of hockey. As last night was an interesting night for me. And that's the part of being a hockey fan and a basketball fan and being heavily engaged in both is interesting because you have the tough defeat with the Nets, and then you have the great win by the Rangers over the Stars. And it was a game where, as a Net fan, you're frustrated. As I mentioned, I mean, just Ben Simmons had a weird game, had 10 assists in 14 minutes, and then just in the second half couldn't score. Not that he could really ever can score, and last night's game for the Nets was frustrating. As I mentioned earlier, is because we just didn't score. Like we didn't have offense, and it was so blatantly frustrating because you just knew KD's out there, we win that game. We win that game if KD's out there, and we need more offense without KD. TJ Warren played well. Joe Harris stepped up in the starting rotation, played very well actually. Best game of the season, most in my opinion. One of his best this season. So certain guys stepped up, but Kyrie did not play well. He had one bad pass late in the game, which kind of really just I think it was already like a 6-point game, and then he had the bad pass, and then I think Tatum took it, transition bucket, breakaway, and then they kind of all fell apart from there. So yeah, the frustrating loss there, and then all signs are pointing to the Rangers getting shut out at home 1-0, which would not have been a good end. I mean, you get shut out at home 1-0. I don't care how well you're doing. That's a brutal loss, a really bad loss to get shut out 1-0. 0.9 seconds left, things changed. As Keandre Miller goes on and scores with 0.9 seconds left. 0.9 seconds left in the game. Keandre Miller scores a crazy goal. It was assisted by Trocheck and Fox. And then, 0.9 left. They win, or they tie it, get it to 1-1. And then you go into overtime, and a couple minutes in, you get the goal. A minute 16 in, you get the goal from Adam Fox, which was assisted by Bread, Panarin, and then obviously Mika, and the Rangers get the win. I mean, two defensemen stepping up. First of all, we didn't talk about that. A lot of people, when you score, obviously your forwards are your heavy goal scorers. To have Keandre Miller, defenseman, and Adam Fox, defenseman, to be your guys that, both score the game-winning, both score the goals are huge. And this Ranger team's playing with a lot of energy. I mean, they really are. And last night's one of those games where, and you see this all around in sports, but last night's one of those games with the New York Rangers where you watching the game, you realize it's a frustrating game. They're not playing well. The Stars are, controlling the puck, doing these, doing a lot of good. The, Rangers are, doing some. They're playing okay. In terms of, Igor's making the saves. Not, the shots. Rangers got 31 shots up. Similar amount of shots, but you felt like, the Rangers were winning some face-offs. It just was a frustrating game. Like, they weren't getting enough opportunities, weren't taking advantage of some opportunities. And to then have, and also the Stars had 4 penalties yesterday. I mean, the Rangers were on the power play a couple times. And they were on the power play 4 times. And to not be able to score none of those times, not be able to score, go 0 for 4 on the power play, and then have the Stars have 1 power play and score on the power play, it's super frustrating. And you're just sitting there and you're like, man, how is this happening? 18 giveaways, all this stuff. It's just not able to score, not able to capitalize. I mean, you have 4 power plays, you're not able to score on one of those. Extremely frustrating. Last night was one of those games where the Rangers shouldn't have won. But with the late goal by Miller, and then the late goal, or the overtime goal by Adam Fox, the Rangers come out of there with a win, come out of there with 2 points, come out of there with an OT win. Back-to-back wins, by the way, in overtime. And that's 3 straight games that have gone to overtime. They lost to the Devils last Saturday in overtime, 4-3, which was a tough loss, blew the game there. We're up 3-1, blew it. Then they beat the Wild in a shootout, 4-3. And then they go out there yesterday, and they get the win at home, 2-1 in overtime. And now they'll get today off. They'll get tomorrow off. They'll be back against Montreal on Sunday. And this Ranger team, you go back to that game, I believe it was against the Blackhawks, when Jacob Trouba threw his helmet against the boards because he had to come off the ice, and he threw his helmet against the boards. That was a little over a month ago. Since that point, Rangers are 13-2-2. This team's cruising. And as much as we criticize Trouba, he sometimes makes some boneheaded decisions, boneheaded plays. Sometimes he has those dumb neutral zone turnovers that turn into, 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s, and they score, other teams, take advantage of it. As much as he has those moments, and he'll have a lot of those, Trouba throwing his helmet against the boards and obviously stepping up and being a leader in that locker room, whatever he did that night, whether it was, team meeting, whatever it was, whatever happened that night, the Rangers since then have looked similar, if not better, than what they looked like last season. Rangers right now are playing like one of the best teams in all of hockey. And that's just the bottom line. They are playing phenomenal hockey right now. Third in the Metro with 55 points. They're 4 points out of being first in the Metro. They're tied right now with the Devils in points. Devils obviously have a little bit of upper hand because of the win. But man, oh man, 24-12-7, 55 points. They are 6-2-2 in their last 10. They've won 2 straight. This Rangers team is hot right now. And they are playing very, very good hockey. Very good hockey. Their best hockey of the season. So, you got, Gerard Gallant, you got to give a credit to him. You got to give credit to this locker room because this team, month ago was looking really bad. And it was almost like looking last season. It was looking like last season was almost like a one-year wonder where they go to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe it was a little bit of a hangover. You play late into the year. You force that series to 6 games. It's a disappointing end. You get off to a slow start, a little bit of a sluggish start. It happens, especially for a team that hasn't been there in a while. Young team, learning how to kind of rebound from a loss like that, from a season like that. That could have been a part of the slow start. But whatever has caused this team, whether it was Trouba throwing his helmet off the boards and something was said in the locker room that night, whether it's just this team starting to play with a little bit more rhythm, starting to play together, whether it's this team a lot more energized. Early in the season could have still been a little bit worn out. Again, playing late into the year to then come back a couple months later and boom, just expect to come out and start firing all cylinders. It's tough to do that sometimes. Hangovers, Super Bowl, playoff, World Series, Stanley Cup, NBA Final, those hangovers are real. Those are real. It's tough sometimes for teams, and I know the Rangers didn't make the playoffs, but Stanley Cup, but it's tough for teams to bounce back after a long season where they went deep in the playoffs. It is, especially if it's a disappointing end. And the Rangers had a disappointing end. They blew a 2-0 series lead against Tampa. They should have won Game 3. They had opportunities in Game 6, couldn't take advantage. Got off to a slow start, but this team coaching, leadership, credit where credits is due. This team's playing a lot better. And a big, historic, one of those games where that will go down in history of 0.9 seconds left, down 1-0, a game you shouldn't have won. Miller scores, Garden goes crazy, Adam Fox scores in overtime. Rangers get a big-time win at home and get to 24-12-7 on the season, 55 points, third place in the Metro. And gotta like what you're seeing out of this Ranger team. 43 games in, a little over the halfway point on the season. So Rangers get the win. But last night was interesting. It's tough. It was tough. Because you get a tough Ranger loss. Or, Ranger win were great. Tough net loss. And then the Rangers winning was awesome. I was so pumped up about that. So fired up. And I still am. A great win for the Rangers. So, good to see. Good to see. As for tonight, got a good amount of night sports going on here tonight. Little Friday night basketball. You got one game in the college basketball in the top 25. It's Purdue and Nebraska. As for the NBA tonight, you got a little Friday night Knicks. You got Hawks, Pacers, Pelicans, Pistons, Spurs, Warriors, Suns, Timberwolves, Thunder, Bulls, Magic, Jazz, Nuggets, Clippers, and you got the Rockets and the Kings. And as I mentioned, you got a little Friday night Knicks tonight. Knicks, Wizards in D.C. Knicks looking to bounce, continue to improve, and they look to get continue what I lost my train of thought. Continue to build off of the momentum that they gained the other night as they got the win over the Pacers, and they'll get the Wizards tonight on the road. And as for hockey tonight, there's 3 games tonight. Jets, Penguins, Devils, Ducks, Oilers, Sharks. Tomorrow in college basketball, Kentucky takes a really tough road trip to Tennessee. This Kentucky team's not playing well. They look really bad. 12 Eastern ESPN, they'll play 5th-ranked Tennessee on the road. It's not going to be easy. It's not. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be probably an ugly one, I would imagine. But we'll see. And the Nets Thunder on Sunday, along with the Rangers Canadians as well on Sunday. And tomorrow you also got the Islanders Canadians at home. And then the Canadians will be on the back end of a back-to-back against the Rangers on Sunday. And obviously, the biggest one of them all, Giants, Vikings, Sunday, 4:30 Eastern, Fox in Minnesota. Giants playoffs, wild card weekend, fired up. 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Sunday. Finish it off on Monday night. Pumped up for this weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Let's see if the Giants can pull off the road dub and move on to the divisional round where most likely, unless if Seattle wins, will face the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, which would be a very, very fun matchup to watch there. So a lot to look forward to. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Super Wild Card Weekend and all the rest that sports got in store, both college and the NBA, basketball, and the NHL as well, with the Rangers and the Nets. Looking forward to all those games. So enjoy your weekend. I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.